Welcome back to another episode of Following the Trend. On today's video, we'll be taking a look at Buckshot Roulette, a new horror game that cost me a whopping $1.20. Apparently, it's one of the most stressful games of 2024, a new elevated level of horror.
Yeah, poop.
Personally, I don't see it. Now, that's not to say I didn't like the game. I played through it like 5 times already. You're a faceless character who takes a chance with death against an entity only known as the Dealer. You play 3 rounds of roulette with a shotgun against said dealer in order to win the cash prize. The Dealer himself is this aggressive, intelligent AI that will make the best decision in every possible circumstance, most of the time.
There were only live rounds.
It's a great concept, and for the price, it's absolutely worth it. Although, I think there's more to this game than meets the eye. The rugged nightclub, the dealer, the 3 possible endings. Who exactly is the dealer, and what's his purpose? After digging deeper into the subtle details and storytelling, I have to say, it's rather interesting. So let's talk about it. Without further ado, my name is Josh, also known as Gorguanana, and I hope you enjoy. First off, the title music of this game is an absolute banger. I don't know why I like it so much, but I do. Buckshot Roulette begins with kicking down 2 doors into the room of the dealer. You agree to sign a waiver, which I of course chose the most immature name I could think of at the moment for maximum funny. The shotgun is loaded with blanks and live rounds that are inserted into the gun at a random sequence. You can either shoot the dealer or yourself, but if you shoot yourself with a blank, this skips the dealer's turn, allowing you to go again. Each round, you start with a certain number of charges that once depleted will either end the game or move you to the next round. By the second round, the dealer will give you a random selection of items to aid you. All items and what they do are as follows. Handcuffs will skip the dealer's next turn, cigs will replenish 1 charge, beer will remove 1 bullet from the shotgun, magnifying glass reveals the next bullet in the chamber, and finally, the saw will make your next shot deal 2 charges instead of just 1. I found the best combination to be the magnifying glass and the saw because if I see a live bullet in there, you best believe I'm going all in. Either way, this is still a game of chance, but you can maximize your advantage with your knowledge of the bullets and the tools at your disposal. However, so can the dealer. He will also get a random assortment of items and will combine them together to win if you give him the chance. I gotta say, for such a cheap game, the AI is quite impressive. You know, one moment I was winning and the next I was near death. The dealer knows how to play, but what I find interesting about him is his integrity. And this is the reason why I made this video. Never once does he manipulate or cheat his way to victory. You clearly sign a waiver, meaning he doesn't force you into doing anything, and you willingly agree to participate. This game has rules, and he'll follow them religiously. He even willingly handcuffs himself when you hand them over. An honest villain is a rare sight in most media, but the reason why it's so rare is because villains usually have a reason to lie, or it's in their nature. The dealer doesn't. He values nothing else over the rules of his twisted game. Perhaps he's a representation or a symbol of something, which is why he doesn't need to win. All 3 outcomes are in his favor, so playing fairly is a small handicap from his perspective. And let's actually talk about those endings, because each one is interesting, and I think gives some insight on who the dealer is. The first ending happens if you die in the first or second round. You'll awake in front of an unknown man who revives you with 1 last charge left by the dealer. Not only does he know your name, but he exclaims that the night is young, the game resetting from the beginning with you heading back into the dealer's room. If you die in the 3rd round, you'll awaken at the pearly gates, or at least what's left of them. The game code acknowledges that this is heaven, but something's off about it. It's not as welcoming as you'd hoped. It leaves you disturbed, and that may be due to the events that happened in round 2. As you pull out your second set of items, another waiver covered in blood ends up in your hands. The signature is none other than God himself. This means that the god of this game lost to the dealer and ended up another victim, leaving heaven to be consumed by other forces. The 3rd ending is you winning the game, leaving with both a suitcase full of money and the shotgun. Buckshot Roulette doesn't really give you much to go off of, but we have enough details to form some speculation. If you ask me personally, I think the dealer is a demonic entity that represents gambling or addiction in general. Each ending corresponds with how addiction may affect someone, and never is it really a good one. The first ending represents the addictive part of it all. Even after coming near death, the game gives you no choice other than to go back for more. You believe it to be your only option. The dealer is well aware that you'll always come back, hence why no matter how many times you die in the first 2 rounds, he leaves you with 1 charge left. As the game gets more intense, he's not as gracious. the second ending being death, which is unfortunately the result of many people who have certain addictions, whether it may be physical or mentally. The third ending you might think is a happy one, but not really. The game ends with this melancholic tone as if asking you, was it really worth it? For most addictions, especially gambling, it's really never worth the effort. If you win Buckshot Roulette, your reward is $70,000 max. For a game that puts your own life on the line, and especially with today's inflation, that's not much at all. All of what you went through for that sum of money, it really wasn't worth it. I think it's important to mention that when you do win, the dealer quote-unquote dies. Again, personally, I don't think he's dead. Rather, he's simply awaiting his next victim, or simply unconscious. If he could die in this roulette, I think that would give him some inclination to cheat, but because he doesn't, I think the dealer is in no real danger, hence why he's an honest antagonist. I like how he doesn't backstab you or try to convince you to play again. He's done his job, you won fairly, and you get to leave, but you might be back. Even beyond the dealer, there's signs of addictions elsewhere. The bathroom that you start in has multiple pill bottles. Mike Klubnika, I probably pronounced that incorrectly, but he's the creator of Buckshot Roulette. Most of his games fall under the same tone and atmosphere, rugged, worn-down bunkers or disturbing cabins that eat people. His games like to use subtlety to explain the plot, but sometimes it's more so in your face. Unsorted VHS has you trapped in a room where you have to sort through the VHS tapes in front of you to find out what happened and how you got there. It's a puzzle horror game that requires you to revisit the tapes, pick up items, and solve what happened there. On the other hand, there's Carbon Steel. You're a researcher who stays inside of this bunker for 3 days to do research on these creatures that are brought up from unbelievable depths. You need to find the right weight, subclass, and type in order to administer the correct dosage to calm down whatever is in there. Sometimes information is missing, so you have to analyze the creature inside, match up the lines, and pinpoint its exact biology. This is what happens on the first 2 days, but the third one is a bit different. You're on a limited time frame as the creature inside destroys the cage. You have to work quickly, finding out its type and repairing the cage before it breaks out. Your goal in Carbon Steel is to simply do what you're told and hope you survive. One night, you awake to a wall of flesh with frantic eyeballs, giving you some insight on what could be inside those cages. Or maybe you're going insane. I gotta say, the art design of these games have really grown on me. There was a similar one I played a while ago called Paratopic, and I didn't really like it back then, but now, I'm really into it. The lack of graphics really lets your imagination run wild. Same with Buckshot Roulette, except out of all Mike's games, this has the best gameplay loop. I even attempted to do a speedrun, but that was short-lived.
Well, I'm dead.
I don't know why we're in a nightclub specifically, but I find these themes of addiction to make sense of it all. Of course, that's just my theory. There are others I've seen, like you're in a coma, hence the defibrillators, blood transfusions, and a flippin' shotgun blast not killing you. But of course, if you have your own theory, feel free to comment down below. Now, am I overanalyzing a cheap game that probably has no hidden meaning? Absolutely, but I'm a huge nerd, so I find this stuff to be fun. And I can't deny that the gameplay is ironically addicting. I couldn't understand why this game became so popular at first, but after my 5th playthrough, I think I got it. It's not just the gameplay too, but the atmosphere and of course the ambiguous lore. People eat that stuff up. I certainly do. I love the Souls games, and there's a bunch of lore that you have to discover on your own. The rugged nightclub, the distant music as you play a game to the death, the dirty graphics, it's all packaged together to create this unique experience. I do wish this game was a bit longer and had a little bit more variation. After a couple of playthroughs, you realize it's the same number and ratio of bullets per round. Even though they're inserted still at a random order each time, I just kinda wish there was a little bit more variation there. Once you figure out how the items work and which pairs best, it does become a bit trivial once you get them. But what else can you expect from a limited game and one made by a single person? All in all, this is a great game, and I highly recommend it to anyone who hasn't played it to give it a go. As far as my rating goes, I'll give it a solid 8 out of 10. I mean, you're not paying much, and for what it's worth, it's a pretty good game. Now, when compared to other games, obviously, it kinda lacks a lot, but that's alright. Let me know your thoughts on the game, and of course, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like, and to subscribe for more content like this. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone, and of course, stay safe.